There may be explicit language in today's episode. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number 106, Tailgate Talks. As always, this episode of Tailgate Talks is sponsored by the Frisher Recycling and Junk Removal. More on that later. Short one today, eh?
Yeah, and we're really in dangerous territory, and I could not care any less.
Yeah, me either, actually.
Literally, if you don't like what we have to say about Penn State, if you don't like what we have to say about Drew Allar, then you don't have to watch this video. We're not forcing you to watch this video. This is our opinion, though,
Nope.
which you will see with the things we will say in our opinion, is factual, because I know, by the way, check out my background. Of course, I am at my aunt's house. I'm not home right now for obvious
Lovely backdrop.
Obviously. Will we be fair? Yes, we will be fair. We will be fair, because not everything about Drew Allar is bad. He's got good measurables.
No.
He's got good size. Hell, I would even say he's got a good arm. He's got a good arm. In most cases, he's got a good arm. But he is not a perfect quarterback. Nobody is, unless you're Tom Brady.
No.
Or Patrick Mahomes. Or Joe Montana. But no, Drew Allar is nowhere near that category. So this video is obviously going to be titled, it's about Drew Allar. I haven't really thought of the title yet. Probably like the debate of Drew Allar, the real debate of Drew Allar. Maybe like what people aren't saying about Drew Allar, because I'm seeing a lot of people say Penn State is the stone cold favorite to win the college football playoffs this next year. Will they make it? Yes, they will, because look at their schedule. It's Penn State. This happens every freaking year. Literally happens every freaking year. Will we mention the NFL coming up for Drew? Yes, we will. And no, the Steelers are not taking him. Get it out of your head now. Will Drew be a first-round quarterback? Yes, he will be. He will. Should he? That's not up for us to decide. We have our own opinions, but
Yep.
But this is like, we are trying this just like specifically. Obviously, there's other stuff going on in the sports world, of course, as of the recording right now. And Cruz will be in the home run derby tonight. And of course, the MLB draft is going on right now. But I don't know. I mean, I will say, from a fair standpoint, I have said about Drew Allar is that there's just something missing with him. Like I said, good arm, good measurables, tall. At least from a measure. Now, hear me. I don't want what I said to be taken out of context. From a measurable standpoint, do I see comparisons to like Josh Allen from a measurable standpoint?
Sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. I do see it. But talent is the problem with me. And Alex has a lot of stats to go off of the 3 college football playoff games from this past year. But I don't want to go there just yet. What I want to do, and now here's the thing. You want to look at the statisticals from a regular season standpoint. Has Drew Allar improved? Sure. He has. But seriously, like, can you honestly tell me? And yes, Drew Allar has one more year, and he could definitely improve. But can you honestly put Drew Allar up there with a Baker Mayfield, a Johnny Manziel, a Cam Newton, a Tim Tebow from their college years? Can you? No. You can't. You can't. Now, Can you argue Drew is better than a lot of the quarterbacks that'll be declaring for the draft next year? Maybe. So I would say that's my opening statement on the truth about Drew. We'll get into stats in just a little bit. Alex, do you got any opening remarks?
I just think with any player that goes to Penn State, particularly quarterbacks, this is the thing that's due to happen with them. Every year, Penn State's roster gets hyped up. Every year, people say that they have one of the best rosters in the country. Every year, people say Penn State's going to be competing for the national championship. And since 2016, every year, they have lost to Ohio State in the regular season and either not made the playoffs or, in this case this year, made it and made a decent run to the semifinals, but lost based off of the poor decision-making of their quarterback in a game where they looked fully in position to win it. So this is just the thing people do when it comes to Penn State. It's that time of year again. It's that time of year again for us to say how good their roster is and this and that and how much better they are and how they're more improved and how they're older and they're more experienced and they've got veteran guys there now and how, you know, this is the year the window's open wider than it's ever been, blah, 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 blah. It's just that time of year again, folks. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. See.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I think it's a lot more now because of how close they were last year. And they were close. Yeah. I will give them credit. They were close.
Yeah, the increased hype does make sense considering they were one game away from making the Natty. I will give them that for sure. I agree with you.
Yeah. But here's the thing. First of all, by the way, I know we talked about it before, but I do want to say it again. If you are one of those people, one of those Penn State fans that say, oh, no, Alex, hold on, bear with me. If you're one of those Penn State fans from last year that says, oh, if it was still the 14 playoff, Ohio State would have never won the national championship. Yeah. You're right. Yes, statistically, in the way the 4-team playoff works, you are right. But Penn State would have never made the playoffs, so what's your point? Like, why even argue that? Like, literally, we'll find any way to cope. But anyway, not all of them. I would say a lot of, like, Penn State fans I know that I'm friends with are fair, minus Callis. But actually a lot of them are not sold on Drew Allar. And if you think about it statistically and like draft stock wise, he's been the best quarterback between, and I mean like with the way he's positioned, he's been the best quarterback between himself, Sean Clifford, and Trace McSorley. So, like, if they're not sold on Drew, it's kind of like, well, okay then. But obviously, we are talking a lot about Penn State, but this isn't just about Penn State. This is about Drew Allar. And there's a specific game I want to start off with. And I have the tab ready. And Alex, if you want to get the stats ready for the 2024 season, leading into the playoff, you can. I think there's only one game. And yeah, we all know what he did against the good to okay average teams. But let's talk about the games that matter. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. And the one I could think of from 2023, and Alex knows which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
It is against Ohio State, October 21st, 2023. This is bad. 18 for 42.
Yeah.
That's really bad. Really bad. And I remember he was really bad that game too, by the way.
Oh, he was awful. Actually terrible.
He was actually literally awful. Yeah, we also don't talk about this guy either.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, and then also the quarterback that wore number 33 for whatever reason.
Devin Brown? Yeah.
Yeah, so stupid. Seriously, so stupid.
Dumb as hell.
But Drew was, if you literally look at this. You know what? Wait, what happens if I click on this? 24 touchdowns in 2024, by the way. So there's that. I mean, yeah, passing wise, there's the they're the right here, which call they have the tags wrong for this. So wait, I want to find. Can it take me to a full game catalog? I didn't know he was an Ohio kid, by the way. But anyway.
Oh yeah, he is.
So you look at the stat wise, yeah, like I said, he has improved, whatever. And I will say, two interceptions in 2023 is actually kind of beast. I'm not even gonna lie. But still though.
But then he threw 6 more the next year on 5 more attempts.
Yeah. So those were his stats there. So Alex, you're obviously more the football guy. You have more of the statistical mind to understand Drew Allar. So I'm just gonna let you take it away. And this is and fair warning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you're gonna get mad if you're a Penn State fan.
I just want to put this out there before I get into any statistical stuff whatsoever. Because of the whole Ohio State wouldn't have made the playoffs or won the Natty if the 12-team playoff didn't happen and if it was still the 14 playoff.
Oh god, he's taking a sip of water. Here we go.
In the college football playoff era, I believe the 2014-2015 season or the 2013-2014 season was the inaugural year of the college football playoff. One of those two. Can't remember which one exactly. In the college football playoff era, from the 14 playoff to current day, Penn State has one victory against Ohio State. It is a 3-point home victory in the 2016-2017 season. Everyone remembers it. Saquon Barkley ran back the opening kickoff. It was whiteout, whole thing. Great game for Penn State. Didn't matter anyway. They won less games than Ohio State that year anyway.
And lost to Pitt.
So a team that has 0 national championship appearances, 0 national championship appearance victories, not a single appearance in the 14 playoff, not a single conference championship appearance during the time of the 14 playoff, as far as I'm aware, is sitting here talking about the circumstances of a 12-team playoff existing this year being the only reason Ohio State won. You've beaten us once in the college football playoff era. It was a 3-point home victory that might have been a little Mickey Mouse, quite frankly.
It was. It honestly was. Literally, go back and rewatch the game. If you don't believe us, go back and watch the game.
The Saquon run back, the blocked field goal, all that garbage.
Don't get me wrong. I will say this though. 2017, Penn State was really, really good. I will give them credit there. They were really, really good. That's as much credit I'm going to give them.
So, now that we've gotten that out of the way, just to remind Penn State fans of what they've done actually, not on paper or on USA Today or by any mindless Penn State Glazers predictions at the beginning of every season. Let's get into the meat of this, which is the stats that Drew Allar put up. As Mike said, he did throw for more yards this year. He threw for like 700 more yards than he did last year. Only threw 5 more attempts, very comparable, even though, to be fair, Drew only threw 5 more passes this year than last year, and he played in 3 more games. So, take those extra 3 games out of the equation. What do the numbers look like? I am not going to do all that math off the top of my head right now. Anyway, threw for 700 more yards, threw for 1 less touchdown, 6 more interceptions. Yards per game went up from 202 to 207. I mean, 3,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, 8 picks in 16 games really isn't that impressive, quite frankly, especially in an era of college football where everyone throws the football, especially in the Big Ten. Everyone throws the ball except for like Iowa, and they suck. So, sorry, Hawkeyes fans, you can at least claim Caitlin Clark. So, whatever. So, and this is the big thing right here. I'm not counting. I actually, Mike, if you see the fact that I took a screenshot of our chat, it's from the tirade that I went on Friday while I was at work when we were talking about Penn State. So on average, in their 3 playoff games, not the college football or not the Big Ten championship, their first 3 playoff games, right? Because
Mhm.
Drew didn't play bad in that game, but they lost by 8 points and he threw 2 picks. So you can argue that he probably lost them that game. He only completed 51% of his passes. Anywho, in the 3 playoff games they played, quarterfinal against SMU, semifinal against Notre Dame, or first round game against SMU, quarterfinal against Boise State, semifinal against Notre Dame. In those 3 games, Drew Allar averaged 144 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 0.3 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 54.4% in 3 playoff games. They won 2 of those games by 17 and 28 points. He threw 3 touchdowns against Boise State, didn't throw a single one against SMU or Notre Dame, threw a pick against Notre Dame, didn't throw one against Boise or SMU. Well, I mean, Boise and SMU were pretty much, Drew, don't make the worst decision of your life and we'll win this game, pretty much. So, averaged a touchdown a game, a third of an interception a game, less than 150 yards on 54% completion in 3 playoff games. Not regular season games against really good opponents. Games where his defense scored 21 points against SMU or however many points, and a game in Boise State where for the first time all season, Ashton Genty wasn't allowed to do absolutely whatever he wanted. And then Notre Dame comes along. They have a demanding lead. They look like they're completely dominating Notre Dame. I was irritated because I was like, of course, Penn State's going to make a run to the Natty, and everyone's going to be excited, and then they're going to get shredded by Ohio State again. Didn't end up happening. They blew the game. Drew made the most back-breaking, mind-boggling mistake at the end of the game. 24-24, 30 seconds left in the game. No reason to do anything besides take it to overtime. James Franklin, for whatever godforsaken reason, decided to try and throw the ball. Drew runs across, throws across his body, gets picked off. They end up kicking a field goal. Notre Dame does win the game.
Great game to be at, by the way. I will admit.
Seems like it was electric.
I will admit. It was electric, and it's probably the best college football game I've ever been to in person. And to be honest, that's because of the Penn State fans. I'm not gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. But literally, Alex called it too, because I was texting him and he said, "Listen, look at the stats. Look how many times a completed pass was thrown to a wide receiver." And I looked and I went, "Oh my God. He has not completed a pass to a wide receiver." And he's like, and then I texted like, "Oh my God, you're right." And Alex goes, "He is going to make a very stupid mistake that's going to cost them the game and throw an interception." 4 plays later, what Alex just explained a second ago is exactly what happened.
Yep.
Also, maybe don't go party on a yacht before the biggest game in Penn State since the 80s. Maybe an option. Maybe an option. But yeah. So, yeah, those stats are pretty atrocious. And here's the thing. Those are the stats that people don't want to hear because they just want to glaze. They just want to be on Penn State. And it is nauseating. I will admit, it gets to a point where it's nauseating and it's really annoying, and they get tired of it. And then people wonder, why do people not like Penn State? Why did people give Penn State such a hard time? Because of crap like this. That's literally why. That's literally why. For once, I beg you, for God's sakes, one season, be real about Penn State. Don't see they are not going to go 15-0 and win a national championship. They're quite frankly not going to win the national championship. None of them are going to win the Heisman, though finalist could see Drew be one just because it's Drew Allar and Penn State.
Yeah. No, I know. I could see it too.
So, but guess what? Their bar is to lose in the semifinals game again. And here's the thing. With the new seeding, if there was ever a time to win the Natty, it was last year with the new seeding. Now you're screwed. Now you are screwed. You're not going to have the easy road you had last year against SMU and Boise. Because let's be real, Penn State had the easiest way to the national championship.
By far.
And guess what? They still couldn't do it. I don't care if it
Two
came down to one
non-Power
last
5
play.
opponents in an independent.
Mhm.
They lost to an independent after cakewalking to Boise State. Got a bye, or not a bye, but they got like, well, they did get a bye though, didn't they? Did Boise
Okay.
State get a bye because they were top 4 seed? So they got, but they essentially got 2 at-large bids in their first 2 games because Boise State, get it,
Mhm.
highest ranked non-Power 5 conference champion, but still.
Mhm.
They crushed. They did play Oregon close, so Boise State gets credit for that. But other than that, they cakewalked the Mountain West with one of the best running backs ever in college football and an aggressive defense. And I will give Boise State credit. They are a well-coached football team. They will probably be a competitive team again this year. But let's be totally real and honest here. SMU and Boise State are not teams as a Power 5 blue-blooded college football team that you are supposed to fear.
Mhm.
And Notre Dame is still, while a very good football team, and again, major props to Marcus Freeman. He's one of my favorite coaches in college football,
Yeah.
despite the fact that I don't like Notre Dame at all. I
Exactly.
give a lot of respect to Marcus Freeman, and every time Ohio State plays Notre Dame, I'm worried because I think that they are a very respectable program. But the fact that they're not in a conference does make them less good than they really could be. If Notre Dame was in the Big Ten or the ACC, they would probably be a serious college football powerhouse, and I'm willing to say that. If they had the conference, if they had all that stuff, and I have no problems with Notre Dame being a private university, but there are some complications sometimes when it comes to policy, when it comes to stuff like that. Some players just don't want to have to deal with all that stuff. They just want to go to a public school. They want to ball. They want to do whatever they want. They want to go party in Miami after they win. They want to do all that stuff. So while I have no problem with it, there are some pitfalls to being a private university, in my opinion, when it comes to playing college football on the biggest stage. But again, that's the way the school's been since its conception. That makes sense. But if they were to just join a conference, I genuinely think Notre Dame would perennially be in national championship contention. Obviously, they made the Natty this past year. But other than Notre Dame, which would be a very respectable loss, by the way, if Drew didn't make such a terrible decision at the end of the game and overall have a bad stat line. Yeah. Like, I would be able to give Penn State a little bit more leeway.
Yeah.
If that wasn't the way the game ended, if that wasn't the way James Franklin called the game, and if that wasn't the way Drew played the game.
Yeah. But bottom line, guys, but listening to this, literally, and also, wait a minute. We're leaving out actually a game, and we'll get to it in a second. But guys, literally, it's not that hard. Literally, look at the stat line of Drew Allar in the playoffs. He was not good against SMU. If the defense, and you know what? I got a hot take that people are not going to like. If the defense did not come to play against SMU probably could have won.
They would have been in it.
They would have been in it. Now, the only reason I said might have, because if the SMU quarterback was not a spaz throwing the ball that game.
Yeah, if Kevin Jennings didn't have the worst game of his career up to this point.
Yeah. Then, yeah. Would Penn State would have won that game? Probably. But it would have been closer, because guess what? Look at the stats. Drew was not good. Was better against Boise, 3 touchdowns, and was awful against Notre Dame. I literally, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, actually, you know what? I'm going to have you answer this question. Alex, where was I sitting when I was in attendance for the Orange Bowl? Where was I sitting?
Were you in a booth? Like a box?
Yeah. What part of the field?
Oh, God, I'm trying to remember. Were you by an end zone?
Yes, which means I had a clear view of Drew Allar the entire game. And from my point of view, which was, guess what, guys? A great view. By the way, all you could eat and drink free drinks all night. Fantastic. I had a perfect view of Drew Allar the entire night. And he was awful. He was awful. So, yes, go ahead. argue with me about Drew in that game when I had a perfect view of the game the entire time. And guess what? Take the view out. I don't need to talk about the view. Just look at the statistics. He was terrible. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to be competent for once.
No.
But there also is a game. There is a game that I want to take a look at. And guess what? Shocker. It's once again the team that they have no idea how to beat. It's Ohio State from this past year. And Franklin deserves criticism during this too. It's not just on Drew Allar. They had 4 chances to score on the 1, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. But yet you want to argue. People want to argue with us about Penn State. Drew Allar that game, 12 for 20, 146 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. And if Will Howard did not throw that pick 6, it would have been what? Yeah, 20-7, something like that.
Yeah,
20-6.
20-6.
And it would have looked a lot worse. Remember what I said about the year prior? About Drew Allar's stats against Ohio State? Fast forward. Get real.
And also,
real.
This is a really big stretch. This is a big reach, and I know that, and I acknowledge that right now. But I will say, if Will Howard didn't grow up being a Penn State fan and put all that pressure on himself for his revenge game against Penn State for ghosting him after he got hurt in high school, that game might have been a lot uglier. Yeah. Again, that's a huge reach. Huge reach. I understand that. But think about it. He talked about it on Football and with Ben Roethlisberger. Put an immense amount of pressure on himself to perform well in that game, and it distracted him, and he ended up playing a lot worse than he expected to. So take that as you will.
Mm-hmm.
I also just want to take a look at some of his whole game log from this past season. He had 2  300-plus yard passing games this season. One was 300 yards against Kent State at home. And the other one was a game against USC on the road that they won in overtime, where he threw 15 more passes than his second highest amount of passing attempts. He threw for 390 yards and also threw 3 interceptions against USC, a team that is not predicated on defense whatsoever. Look at these. We'll go on these numbers. 216 yards at West Virginia to open the season. 204 in a 7-point victory at home against Bowling Green State. 300 yards against Kent State, 309. 135 home against Illinois. 237 home against UCLA. The 391 at USC on the road. 148 on the road at Wisconsin. 146 at home versus Ohio State. 220 versus Washington, again at home. At Purdue, 247. At Minnesota, 244. Home against Maryland to end the season, 171. Games like that really irritate me because the home game against Maryland is a lot like the SMU game. Drew threw for 171 yards and 1 touchdown, and Maryland lost by 31 or 37 points. Penn State put up 44 points when Drew Allar threw 171 yards and 1 touchdown.
It's nauseating. But a point of discussion that I want to end with and give final thoughts if we want to. The Steelers are not taking him. Don't even think about it. Because why would they? He's not a Mike Tomlin guy, first of all. He has not proven anything. Yes, he still has time to. And he's probably going to go in the top 10, and the Steelers are never bad enough to pick in the top 10 to take him. And they're not going to take him. But the thing with me is he's not a Tomlin guy, and Tomlin is not going to fall for it and not going to go for it. I think that Sellers kid from South Carolina is we'll take a look at him.
He's very interesting.
He's very interesting. And he definitely seems like with where the Steelers will probably be in the draft next year for the Steelers to take him and try to be the next franchise quarterback.
Pending a skyrocketing draft stock, obviously, which I think is very possible with his mobility and stuff like that. But I agree.
Yeah. But, Alex, what do you think about the possibility, though I think there's no chance that the Steelers would take Drew Allar?
Yeah. Before I get to that, I'm going to put a pin in this real quick.
And also, I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to mute my microphone a little bit because my cousin has the Ranger out.
Yeah. So, got the Bills. Going to do this real quick. And then I will get right back to my take on all that, really. So, as I said at the beginning of this episode of Tailgate Talks is sponsored by DeFrisha Recycling and Junk Removal. DeFrisha is a family-run business out of Greenville, PA that provides services such as vehicle purchasing, scrap metal purchasing, appliance removal, junk removal, garbage services, dumpster rentals, curbside pickups, house garage and building cleanouts, and demolition services around the Greenville and Pittsburgh areas. If you're in need of any of these services or know anyone that's in need of these services, check out the links down below in the description. They will be to their website and to their Facebook. You can get in contact with them, get a quote, see if they provide their services in your area. Thank you, DeFrisha, for sponsoring episode 106 of Tailgate Talks.
But before my cousin comes up with the Ranger, I'll ask the question one more time, and then you can give your final thoughts. I'm done talking about it. I think Drew Allar is overrated, and Penn State is going into the season the most overrated team in college football, in my opinion. And I don't think I'm wrong about it. Could they surprise people? Sure, but I think they're overrated with the way people talk about them. Doesn't mean they're not going to be good. I'm saying the way people talk about them, like they're the 15-0 Michigan team, they're not that.
No.
Which means they're overrated. So, Steelers draft, probably not taking Drew, and then your final thoughts about Drew Allar and Penn State going into the next season and, of course, the last 2 seasons.
So real quick, I just want to say this. This is something that I'm going to coin from here on out, the Dallas Cowboys effect. I truly, and that's not even to be funny, like I genuinely believe this. I genuinely believe that the Penn State Nittany Lions are plagued by the hype that the country gives them every single year. When you are that hyped up every year, when you have that high of expectations, even when they're misplaced, you tend to try and do things differently than you would normally, and it typically ends in you pushing and making mistakes that you wouldn't normally make. They're tied 24-24 with Notre Dame. 30 seconds left in the game. James Franklin goes, "We're the Penn State Nittany Lions. We're supposed to be the best team in the country this year. We're going to try and go get a field goal here to win the game." Don't mind the aggression whatsoever, but tell your quarterback before the drive starts, "Drew, if you're running and there's no one there, put that damn ball in the dirt." Now, is Drew going to make his own decision anyway? Yes. We saw it happen with Favre in the 2009 NFC Championship with Minnesota. But still, as a coach, that's what you do when you're prepared. But when you're overhyped every year and you're told every year by the media that you're expected to be the best team in the country, you're expected to compete for a natty, you're expected to win the Big Ten, all these things. If you are not built to handle those expectations, you are going to push, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to do uncharacteristic things that usually burn you in the end. So please, for the love of God, not for me because I think it's hilarious every year when this happens, but for Penn State football fans, James Franklin, please, for the love of God, temper the expectations, put your head down, grind, and actually earn it this year. That's what I want. Actually, it's not what I want at all. But for Penn State fans, that's what you should want. Shut up about the natty expectations. Every single week, hope that James Franklin goes out there and just wants to obliterate the team in front of him and every week prove that this is a good enough football team to compete for a natty, and then when the time comes, make the right decisions.
It's not going to happen because James Franklin is an egotistical maniac, and he doesn't know when to shut his freaking mouth. Literally go back and watch the press conference before the Notre Dame game. He was making fun of Notre Dame, which I agree, by the way, about not being in a conference, but he was talking all this mess. And you want to know what Marcus Freeman did? He looked at him, he smirked and said, "Okay, I'll remember that." And guess who the winning coach was that game?
Marcus Freeman is a good coach because he's not focused on narratives. He's focused on his team being good.
Yes, which is why James Franklin will never be a great coach because he doesn't know when to shut his mouth.
It's unbelievable. Anyway, Steelers drafting Drew Aller. Not going to happen. We're not going to be bad enough. He's not going to be there. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy Tomlin would take in the early first round anyway. You know, Big Ben wasn't his draft pick, so you can't even compare them size-wise, athleticism-wise. You can't do any of that because Ben wasn't one of Tomlin's draft picks. So Ben wasn't a Tomlin guy. He just happened to be a very good quarterback on a very good roster. And that helped Tomlin win a Super Bowl and make it to another one before this huge dry streak the Steelers had. That's not the point of this video. Drew is not going to be there when the Steelers pick. The Steelers are not going to be bad enough to pick that high, and even if they did, I think the Steelers' move is more likely for them to trade back and build rather than do that personally. Unless they wanted to reach or take Drew if he was actually there. But I don't think they will. Drew's going to go way too high. The Steelers maybe give some looks to Lenore Sellers. Again, his draft stock could also skyrocket this year. He's the type of quarterback that feels like he could kind of explode onto the scene during his final season in college football. So,
yeah, and who knows? Though I think he'll be gone too. Who knows if Cade Klubnik's there?
Hey, that's not a bad idea, dude. Actually, I hate Clemson football too, but listen, man, I wouldn't be opposed. Again, not really a Tomlin quarterback pick, but I wouldn't be mad about that, especially because he won't have the same value that a guy like Drew does. So
yeah. And we already said it too, because I don't think we said it too. If by some chance Drew's there, we're still not taking him. We are still not taking him.
There's not enough of a story there. The Steelers love their story picks, and it's just not there.
And if you're wondering, yes, Kenny Pickett had a story at the time.
Yeah. He broke all the records of the dude who the Steelers were supposed to take, but they decided not to take because he smoked weed a couple times.
That's a video for another time.
Yeah, that's
what
a
if
whole
the Steelers?
thing.
What if the Steelers would have took Dan Marino?
Oh my god.
But yeah, there's no story to Drew, and he's not a Tomlin guy, so it's not happening. If he's there, we're still not taking him. We're gonna look at Lenore Sellers. And if you go, but it's in Pittsburgh, they're not gonna trade. They could still trade back and take their franchise quarterback. That's how the draft works.
True.
So, So like I said, if he's there, not taking him, but in reality, he's not going to be there by the time the Steelers pick. So let it go. Just let it go. But yeah, I got no other final thoughts on Penn State and Drew. I think they're overrated going into the season. They'll be good, but they're not going to be great. They're not going to win the national championship. It's going to be a rinse and repeat year once again, most likely, because let's face it, we're right every single time.
So these are really interesting, actually. I looked Matt Miller and Jordan Reed, two ESPN guys, as this is from June 20th, so this is about almost a month ago, ranked their top 5 quarterbacks in this upcoming draft class. They have Drew Aller at 4 and 5 in terms of quarterback rankings in this upcoming draft class. They both have Cade Klubnik number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but still, that doesn't change the fact that the Steelers aren't taking him. So, and we're not gonna tank for Drew. Which, why would you? And yeah. So yeah, that's our final take on Drew. In the draft, Pittsburgh's not taking him. So get that out of your head.
Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So yeah, you got any final thoughts on Penn State and Drew?
No. All I can say is Steelers fans be ready to win 11, 12 games and probably not win a playoff game here with Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback. We can get into that more this upcoming couple weeks, but
and Lenore Sellers. Kate Klubnik.
Yeah, right.
And yeah. So now, if people are wondering if the Steelers do take Drew, we're gonna be fair. He would be a Steeler, so we'll be fair. But let's just say, that if Drew doesn't pan out in the NFL, then I better hear the same noise that people said. Okay, and then if they don't,
if Drew plays really well this year and puts up great stats, even if they don't win a natty or even make the natty, if they lose in the semifinals again, but Drew has a really good season, shows great potential, shows that he can read the field, shows that he can make professional level decisions. If he does all of those things and proves that he can be an NFL caliber quarterback at a high level, and the Steelers do somehow take him, it will be the most fair and unbiased analysis as possible.
Yeah, as it should be. But if he doesn't turn out to be a guy, then you better be fair. Better be fair. But as of standing today, he is not going to be a Steeler, and he, stat-wise, look overrated with the way people talk about him. Same thing with the whole team. So I got nothing else. Not really that shorter of a video. Just one topic. But yeah. So for one final time, we got to pay the bills. So let's go.
One final thank you in this video. Thank you to Defrisha Recycling and Junk Removal for sponsoring this episode of Tailgate Talks and every episode since we came back from school. All the links are in the description below. You can check out their website. You can check out their Facebook. Their phone numbers on both. You can get in contact with them. Shout out Braden especially. That's our guy. If you have any of the needs listed earlier in this ad read or on their website, get in contact with them. See if they provide their services in your area. And thank you, Defrisha, once again for sponsoring this episode of Tailgate Talks. With nothing else to say, I got a little paper ball today. Good night, America.